I can't believe that I'm finally getting to make this video. This is my Spider-Man No Way Home review. Okay, like I said in the intro, like it says in the title, this is what you've clicked for. This is going to be my review for Spider-Man No Way Home. Now I will say right now, most of the video is going to be spoiler free, and right at the end there will be a little part with spoilers. I will give you a clear warning, so if you haven't seen the movie, feel free to watch my whole reaction and then I will tell you when to click off. I am not going to ruin the movie for you. If you've seen the whole thing, then feel free to sit back, relax and enjoy all of my thoughts from this movie from start to finish. With that being said, we're going to swing straight into the spoiler free part of this video, and let me tell you, Spider-Man No Way Home really feels like a coming of age movie, a Spider-Man movie that has Tom Holland finally accept the responsibilities of being Spider-Man. Before we go any further, I am going to ask that you just like the video, drop me a subscribe, because I'm going to be making a bunch of other Spider-Man videos and covering every single bit of Marvel content that comes out in the future, obviously. And I will also ask you to leave a comment down below, but please, for the people that haven't seen the movie, and for the people that have seen the movie, just leave the comment spoiler free. Don't ruin this for anyone, it's not worth it. Don't be that guy. Let's have a spoiler free discussion about Spider-Man down in the comments. Thank you. Anyway, back into the review for Spider-Man No Way Home. This is the first time, in my opinion, properly, besides maybe Endgame, but that's not a Spider-Man movie, so I'm not counting that we have seen the damage that Tom Holland has to face as being Spider-Man. Obviously at the end of Far From Home he had his identity leaked, and this movie really focuses on that for the whole first act, as that being so detrimental to the character of Peter Parker, but not just for Peter Parker, but for everyone around him, for his Aunt May, for Happy Hogan, for his best friends. Him being Spider-Man is hurting the people that he loves, and he realizes that, and you can see it. The movie shows Tom Holland, who really has to come to terms with the fact that being Spider-Man is going to hurt the people around him, it's going to ruin their lives. And another massive theme of this movie on top of that is the fact that throughout the whole movie, Tom Holland's Peter Parker is really learning to come to terms with what Spider-Man has to be like. Part of being Spider-Man is you're going to have to protect your loved ones, even if it's not exactly what you want to do. For me personally, Spider-Man is one of my all-time favourite comic book characters, one of my all-time favourite superheroes, one of my all-time favourite movies is the Spider-Man franchise. I grew up as a kid loving Spider-Man. I was 3 years old with a Spider-Man suit on, climbing around my house. I wanted to be Spider-Man when I was younger. The character has always been relatable to me. A nerd in high school who has problems. That's why people love Spider-Man. He is so relatable to everyone. And again, I think this movie showed this to perfection. It couldn't have done it any better. It showed Spider-Man, who is a superhero, who has fought aliens in space, which they say in the movie, but he also has to deal with the problems of going to college, high school, his friend group, his family. There's so many aspects in this movie that are relatable to a normal person, and that is what makes it so enjoyable to watch. I love the fact that this movie, especially out of the Tom Holland movies, really shows him balancing Spider-Man with being a normal teenager, and that is fantastic for me. Now moving on, and we did see this in the trailers, but I did not expect it to be such a heavy part of the movie. Peter Parker conflicting with Doctor Strange, two people that have worked together to save the world with different opinions on how to do things. You saw from the trailers, Peter wants to go with his heart, he doesn't want to kill these villains, and Doctor Strange obviously has gone with the brain. He has to keep the multiverse intact, all this kind of stuff, and they just clash on opinions on how to deal with this situation. I did not expect that to hit as hard as it did. I loved seeing the little conflict between the two. That was amazing for me to see on screen. And for the people that have seen the movie, when you saw that whole thing play out, that was mad. I couldn't take I didn't even blink that whole time. That was one of the best sequences I've seen in any Spider-Man film. Now for me, again, spoiler free, but one of my favourite parts of the movies was the villains. We all knew who was going to be in the movie. All villains from old movies, from present, all that kind of stuff. All of them congregating into one movie. Spider-Man 3 had a lot of villains, and it didn't work. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 had a lot of villains, and it didn't work. Spider-Man No Way Home had even more villains, and it was done, again, flawlessly, to perfection. The fact that they managed to fit 5 different villains in, tell all of their stories and explain the blanks that we are missing very quickly, That's what I was worried about. I was worried there'd be so many villains that they wouldn't be able to fill in all the gaps and explain why this person's here, why this person's not dead, all that kind of stuff. And they done it within 2 scenes, and we were all caught up, we knew what was going on, and we weren't left wondering, and that was very important for me. As for the nostalgia factor of the villains, it is unfaultable. The nostalgia factor was perfect. The jokes were on point, in my opinion. Some people don't like the humour in the MCU, I expect it. Also in Spider-Man movies, you have to expect humour. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is my favourite of all time, and they films are so goofy and I love it. The humour in this movie was great. I thought it hit amazingly. Another thing, with so many villains, it's hard to set them all up to be villains. What are their motivations? Why are they doing the things they're doing? And again, this movie done it very quickly, very concisely, and very in detail. We knew exactly why each villain and each character was doing the thing that they were doing. And I cannot stress enough, it was important for me for this movie to not be overcrowded with villains and done wrong, because it's happened in the past and it's the only thing I was skeptical about. Another part of this movie that I was also worried about was the fact everyone was so excited to see the villains and maybe anyone else that shows up in the movie, because we all know that MCU movies have crossovers and collabs and cameos, all this kind of stuff. I was very worried that Tom Holland would get overshadowed. Let me tell you, he absolutely did not. I will say it right now, Tom Holland is my least favourite Spider-Man. However, I absolutely love him, if that makes sense. I just like the other two a little bit more because I grew up with them, but I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. And for me, it would be very easy to overshadow him with the nostalgia of the old villains, but it never. Tom Holland, this is the first movie I've watched him in as Spider-Man and been like, wow, you are Spider-Man. He was, and I cannot stress this enough, by far the best actor in the movie. I've seen a lot of Tom Holland films and none of them come close to the way he acted in this movie. The responsibility, the way his character matured, the way his character developed so much in the space of 2.5 hours. I am fully sold on the fact that Tom Holland is now the soul of the MCU with Iron Man gone. Tom Holland turned up to this movie to show everyone that he can act. He turned up to prove anyone wrong. He showed up and he done work. His acting was no joke in this movie. And like I just said, for me, Tom Holland really feels like Spider-Man now. Not just a person playing Spider-Man. He was so perfect in this movie, I cannot stress this enough. This movie had no lack of epic fight scenes. There was aerial fight scenes, web swinging fight scenes, there was hand-to-hand combat, there was different kinds of fight scenes we've never seen in any Spider-Man movie, there was different environments, there was a bit for everything. If you enjoy hand-to-hand, you had that. If you enjoy CGI fights, you had that. There was everything in this movie, and it was all done impeccably. It was perfect. And one last thing I want to touch on, I'm not going to go into detail on all the villains specifically, but Willem Dafoe, given no spoilers of course, Willem Dafoe is the GOAT. 66 years old, doing his own stunts, and giving us a performance that literally gave me flashbacks to watching the original Spider-Man movies. Every time he was on screen, he stole it. The voices that he puts on, the facial expressions, Willem Dafoe was amazing and rivals Tom Holland for the best performance in the movie. A few things before I go into some spoilers at the end here, so stick around for now. I will give you a warning again, don't worry. I have saw this movie twice already. It's been out for 1 day in my country. I saw it the first show in the morning and I saw it again later at night. The acting, 10 out of 10. The story, 10 out of 10. I am struggling to find fault with this movie. I was in tears for half of the film through emotion, sadness, overwhelming feeling, just from pure joy. There were so many things going on in my head and I couldn't process it, and I was just tears the whole time. It hit me on a level I've never been hit watching a movie ever. The only way I can describe this movie is comic book pop culture cocaine. And let me explain that. I came out of the movie the first time and I had to go and walk my dog, and I was walking him listening to the Spider-Man playlist I've got on my phone with all the soundtracks and all the different songs, and I was like, I just have to feel that feeling again. The feeling that I felt the first time I watched that movie is something I can't even describe. It was pure serotonin. It felt like a drug. I loved it that much. And I was walking my dog, I was like, I have to feel it again. I have to feel that. I was chasing the feeling that I felt watching Spider-Man. I went home, I booked another ticket, and I went back at night to watch it. I had the highest expectations for this movie I could possibly have, and this movie managed to somehow blow my extremely high expectations out of the water. Not even in sight. This movie was so much better than I thought it was going to be, and I thought it was going to be one of the best movies ever. Listen, I saw Endgame 12 times at the cinema. 12 times at the cinema, and this movie hit me on a level that Endgame could not. This movie surpassed my feeling when I watched Endgame. This is my opinion. It may not be the right opinion. It may not be your opinion. But for me, this is the best Spider-Man movie of all time. This is the best MCU movie of all time. This is the best Marvel movie of all time. And for me personally, I think this already could be my favourite movie of all time. I'm booked in 2 more times to go and see it, and I'm going to go back a bunch more after that. I cannot stress to you enough how perfect this movie felt and how much it transported me back to my childhood. It was so much to take in, and I just want to say thank you to anyone that was part of this movie for doing that, because I didn't even know it was possible to feel that way watching a movie. With that being said, spoilers. If you've not seen the movie, leave a like, subscribe, and leave, because I'm about to spoil the movie. I'm about to tell you people what happens. Just a quick little 1-2 minutes at the end here, because I'm going to have a bunch more videos coming out in the future. I'm going to have videos on my favourite moment, my favourite characters ranked in order, hidden Easter eggs, hidden setups, all that good stuff. But click off if you don't want to spoil the movie, because here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They done it. They done it. They brought back Toby and Andrew. When I tell you I stood up and I screamed in the cinema, I shouted, I was hitting my chest, I was, let's go, I was going crazy, I couldn't breathe, I was streaming tears. Toby and Andrew, oh my god, this is everything I've ever wanted in a Spider-Man movie ever, and I think I speak on behalf of every Spider-Man fan in the world. My childhood hero, my childhood role model, all of them coming together in one movie, I was gone. I was so emotional. It was the best thing I have ever seen on a screen in my whole life, ever. And the Daredevil cameo at the start, when he caught the brick, bro, oh my god. They managed to do this movie so perfect. The Aunt May death was so hard hitting and really felt like a turning point for Peter's character. Oh my god, I'm going to go into spoilers a lot more in detail in the future videos that I make. Like I said, my favourite moments, top 10 favourite moments will be a video I make soon. All of the characters ranked. All the hidden setups and Easter eggs that were in the movie that I spotted, and there is a bunch of them, trust me. So if you want to catch these videos, like the video, comment down below, spoiler free for the other guys, don't be the guy that ruins it for everyone. And subscribe to my channel because you don't want to miss the videos I've got coming in the future. Once again, I'm just going to say thank you so much for watching, supporting me all the way through the Spider-Man No Way Home hype. I cannot thank you all enough. This movie was amazing. I'm glad we all got to experience it together. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Oh, not only my outro's here, but I'm changing the outro. Thank you for watching, and with great power comes great responsibility.